Good afternoon. Welcome to our Read Aloud time, coming to you from the Sigal Museum in Easton, Pennsylvania. My name is Beth Krumholz. Today I'm reading Orris and Timble, The Beginning. This book is written by Kate DiCamillo and illustrated by Carmen Mok. I hope that you will like and share. If you're local, please come on by and visit us in downtown Easton, Pennsylvania, and wherever you are, make time to go to your local museums. The old barn was abandoned. Only Orris lived there. Orris and Timble, The Beginning. Chapter 1, Trapped. Orris the rat had made a nest for himself in a hole in the wall and papered it with pages from a box of discarded books. In the rat's nest were his treasures: a red velvet slipper, a yellow marble, and a sardine can. Sometimes, if the light shone into the rat's nest at just the right angle, the king on the sardine can looked Orris in the eye. One evening, the rat was in his nest. Beams of light from the setting sun entered through the cracks in the boards. Specks of dust danced in the air. The yellow marble glowed like a lamp. The silver sardine can shone. All was hushed, still. And then came a loud screech. "Help, help!" someone shouted. "I'm caught, trapped." Chapter 2, The Good and Noble Choice. Orris crept out of his nest. He peeked around the corner. An owl had flown in through the hayloft window. The owl's claws were caught in a mousetrap nailed to the floor. Orris knew that trap. He knew all the traps. The rat had lived in the dangerous world for a long time. "Help," said the owl. "I'm trapped, caught, stuck." "Yes, you are," muttered Orris. "You are caught, stuck, done for." The rat returned to his nest. The marble was no longer glowing. The light was disappearing. Orris could hear the owl struggling to free himself. It was a terrible sound. "Help," said the owl quietly. And then there was only silence. The rat looked at the sardine can. "Make the good and noble choice." The sardine king gave the rat a stern, commanding look. "For the love of Pete," said Orris. He turned. He left the safety of his nest. Chapter 3, Timble. The owl was very still. His eyes were closed. "Owl," said Orris. The owl's eyes opened. They glowed brightly in the gloom of the barn. He was a small owl and very young. "Listen, owl," said Orris. "I'm Timble," said the owl. "Help me." "Listen, owl," said Orris again. "I'm a rat. Owls and rats are enemies. Owls eat rats." "I wouldn't," said Timble. "I couldn't. I'm so afraid." He closed his eyes. There was great silence in the barn. "Owl," said Orris. The rat kept closer. The owl's eyes blinked open. Orris was so close that he could hear the beating of the bird's heart. Or was it his own heart that he heard? "Orris, you old fool," Orris said out loud. "Who's Orris?" said the owl. "I'm Timble. Help me." Chapter 4, Claws. There is a story, said the rat to the owl, of a mouse who rescues a lion. What's a lion? Asked Timble. A lion, said Orris, is... Never mind what a lion is. What matters is that you know what a mouse is. I'm stuck, said Timble. For the love of Pete, said Orris, I know you're stuck. Outside the barn, the sky had become a dark purple. There was a single star visible through the hayloft window. Listen, said Orris to Timble. Do not move a wing, a feather, a muscle, a beak. Hold yourself like a statue, and I will help you. What's a statue? Asked Timble. Just hold still, said Orris. I'm coming closer. Orris crept right up underneath the owl. He got very close to the deadly owl claws. Those claws were terrifying. I'm holding still, said Timble. Yep, said Orris. Keep doing that. The rat closed his eyes. He saw the face of the Sardine King, solemn, regal, expectant. Make the good and noble choice. Orris opened his eyes. He put his paws on the trap. Chapter 5. Wings. The rat pulled on the metal that was holding the owl's claws. The rat pulled as hard as he could. The owl above him was silent, unmoving. The smell of feathers filled the barn. Orris's heart was beating fast, fast. He pulled and pulled. Okay, owl, said Orris. When I say move, you move. You said not to move, said Timble. Just do what I tell you to do, said Orris. The rat pulled back on the piece of metal with all his strength. Now, you silly owl, he shouted. Flap your wings now. Timble flapped his wings. He rose up out of the trap. Orris released his hold on the bar. The trap snapped shut. The owl flew around the barn in great swooping circles. I'm free, shouted Timble. Orris looked up at the owl. The bird's wings were huge. The rat was suddenly terrified. He flattened himself in the hay. He made himself as small as he could. He crept back to the safety of his nest. Chapter 6. The Story. Orris crawled into his velvet slipper all the way down to the toe. He was trembling from whisker to tail. You're a fool, Orris, muttered the rat, but you're safe now. He's gone. I'm not gone, said a voice. I can see your nest. Orris the rat, I can see your tail. Orris turned around in the slipper. He stuck his head out. A single yellow eye was shining through the hole in the boards, studying him. What's a lion, Orris, said Timble. A lion is a deadly, enormous creature, 42 times larger than you are, all claws and teeth. Oh, said Timble. What happens to the mouse and the lion? If I tell you, will you go away, said the rat. Yes, said the owl. The story, said Orris, is that the lion catches the mouse, and the mouse says to the lion, if you don't eat me, I'll do you a great favor someday. The lion laughs, ha ha ha. How could something as small as a mouse do a huge creature like him a favor? But he lets the mouse go. Later, the lion gets tangled in a hunter's net, trapped, and the mouse chews through the ropes of the net and frees the lion. The mouse saves the lion. That's what happens. Oh, said Timble. The great golden eye looked at Orris without blinking. And then it disappeared. Chapter 7. Thank you. It was quiet in the barn. Orris sat on top of his velvet slipper and thought about lions and rats, owls and mice, traps and good and noble choices. In the darkened barn, the rat could not see the Sardine King, but he knew he was there, with the crown on his head and the scepter in his tail. "Do you believe that, Owl?" said Orris to the king. "I saved his life. I tell him a story, and he doesn't even say thank you." The Sardine King, of course, said nothing in return. The Sardine King never spoke. Orris sighed. From outside the barn came the noises of the night. The frogs croaked, the crickets sang, and then, unbelievably, there came a low hoot. The rat felt his heart lift up inside of him. The single golden eye appeared again at the hole in the board. "It's me, Timble. I brought you something. It's something bright for your nest. I'll leave it right here." The rat said nothing. "Thank you, Orris," said Timble. "Thank you for saving me." The eye disappeared. Orris crept out of his nest. "Top-notch butterscotch. It's the sweetest," were the words printed on the foil wrapping. "Top-notch," said the rat. "Sweetest." He shook his head in wonder. He dragged the candy into his nest. Chapter 8. Another story. It was evening again in the barn. The rays of the setting sun reached through the cracks and into the rat's nest. Orris sat and admired the shining, top-notch butterscotch. The rat was listening, waiting, hoping. And then someone called the rat's name. Orris looked up at the Sardine King. "Do one good and noble deed and pay for it for the rest of your life," he said happily. The rat crept out of his nest. Timble was perched on the windowsill. "What now, Owl?" said Orris. "Do more things happen to the lion and the mouse?" said Timble. "That would be another story," said Orris. "Oh," said Timble, "do you know another story?" "I don't know what happens to the lion and the mouse," said Orris, "but I do know another story." "Will you tell it to me?" said Timble. Orris felt his heart beating hard inside of him, not with fear, but with something else, something he couldn't name. "Come in," said the rat to the owl. "Come inside, and I will tell you." Chapter 9. The End. The owl and the rat stood together on the barn floor. The owl listened, his golden eyes huge and unblinking, as the rat told him a story of a wolf and a raven and a princess. When the story was done, Orris said, "The end." "The end," repeated Timble. "What does that mean?" "It means the story is over," said Orris. "Oh," said Timble, "but maybe tomorrow there will be another story?" "Maybe," said the rat. "I'll come back tomorrow, Orris," said Timble. The owl hopped up onto the windowsill. He spread his wings and flew away. After Timble was gone, the rat crept to the window. He looked out at the dark world. He looked up at the stars. And then Orris turned and went back to his nest. The Sardine King was just where Orris had left him. "Make the good and noble choice," Orris said. He saluted the can. And then he climbed into his velvet slipper. He curled up in a tight ball. The rat slept. He dreamed of owls and kings, of lions and stars, of butterscotch and sweetness. He dreamed of stories.